am your astrologer, back with the messages for the week of April 21st, 2025, which, yes, yet again, is a very intense, explosive, karmic week that wraps up with a big new moon in the sign of Taurus. So if we can get through all the crunchy craziness, I do feel like there is some hope at the end of the week that will show up for us. Of course, you would know all of this is going on if you've been following me. If not, please click on that subscribe button below. Most importantly, go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. That way you can get access to all my written content as well. I do the monthly write-ups, usually a couple of months in advance. So I think I'm done through June. And so you want to go out there and you can also see the new moon, the full moon articles. All of that is ready for you. And before this new moon happens, I also include a new moon worksheet for the sign that can help you set your intentions. And of course, you can book a session with me and we'll work on what your intentions should be together. Always happy to help get that done for you. All right. So we will do the breakdown by sign for each one of course, the zodiac signs about this new moon. What house is it happening in? Where should you be setting your new intentions? What are some things you can do in order to help solidify your intentions and give them a little bit more power? We'll look at that for the breakdown on Sunday because that is when we'll have the new moon in Taurus happening. All right. So we are going to, as usual, take a look here at the Astro Gold software. I will do the breakdown day by day, but you're going to see this is another week where there's not a lot of movement and change happening. You know, we're at the end of a lot of the heavy lifting that's been going on in the sign of Pisces, but we will still take a look at each day, even if it is a little bit brief. All right, so as we start off here on Monday, April 21st, what you will see is that we have Saturn, a very karmic planet. Saturn is the rule keeper, right? And make sure that you follow the rules. And it's having a conversation with the North Node in Pisces, right? North Node's just been beginning its time in the sign of Pisces where it entered in mid-January. So we are starting to see what that looks like. What are those lessons, right? We are on a continual quest with the North Node to perfect our Piscean energy, to understand, to have faith, right? And there are some things about maybe our faith. Maybe it is about our gifts, our talents, our intuition, our emotions, our feelings, and most importantly, those personal boundaries that are showing up for us as the North Node and Saturn meet almost exactly today. So there will be some fated event. Now, Saturn just comes around to a sign every 29 years. So those of you born in 1966, you're having your second Saturn return. And those of you born in 1994 to 1996, you may be having your first Saturn return. So that Saturn return is more potent because it's happening with the North Node. Something fated about your lessons is showing up for you. And that's what Saturn asks. Are you doing the work? And with the North Node, it's saying, are you doing the fated work that involves Pisces energy and the house that you have it in? So here in this person's chart, this is happening in their seventh house of serious relationships. So there will be lessons involving serious relationships, maybe for Virgo risings, that come up in a big way today. And you'll look back on this time in history and go, wow, that's when everything shifted and changed when my relationships started to feel more solid, more secure. started to feel more serious, right? Because that's Saturn. Saturn's a very serious type of energy. So there's something about commitments, for instance, that are important when we see this activity. And since we also have Venus here, also at this 26-degree point, it's love, it's money. Again, there's serious commitments that are being made, and all three of them, of course, are opposing the South Node in Virgo. This need to let something go, something needs to be released, control, perfectionism, those things have to be released because the energy of Pisces is blurry, right? That's why the creatives have strong Pisces energy, because they are in touch with things that we cannot see, right? Talent exists, but you can't put your finger on it and says, oh, that's where your talent comes from. No, it comes from everywhere, right? So there is something important as we start out the week because of this conversation, and it's faded. So the North Node is where we're heading, and we have to learn something in order to go towards the light, right? We have to think about what we've done in the past, Virgo energy. And what did we learn? What can we move on from so that we don't stay stuck? Whenever someone says to me, I feel stuck, look at your chart and where's your own North Node and South Node? Where are you stuck in your South Node, which is what you already know how to do, but it holds you back if you keep living from that perspective. You've got to move forward and do something new and different. So there is something new and different showing up for all of us, and it's faded. And it could be, here's a marriage of sorts, right? When you've got Saturn, an older man, the North Node, fated to meet this young, beautiful woman, right? That's just one of the many storylines. But there is something really important that we want to pay attention to on Monday. It gets more inspiration, some surprise element is coming from the energy here with Uranus in Taurus, which of course Venus rules over the sign of Taurus. This is kind of the beginning of this conversation where things will surprise us, where big shakeups can happen. We will continue to have more earthquakes, for instance, because Uranus is activated and it's shaking things up. It's speaking with Saturn, it's speaking with Venus, it's speaking with the North and the South Node. And since the nodes move backwards, well, that means Uranus is speaking to them for some time. So there will be shakeups. There will be surprises. There could be surprise innovations. There will be surprises involving money, involving love, involving beauty, involving women. Now, it's a blue line. That means this is positive. The influence that this planet has on our fate and destiny, while shocking and surprising, it is meant to help us follow our path, follow the light. So that is how we see things stirring up. And it's been going on since the previous week. So this may not be a complete surprise, but there is something when the planets become exact on that day that we will notice more. We might have been feeling the undercurrents for these past few days in the weekend leading up to this week, but there's a chance that we'll be really surprised on Monday. All right. Let us move ahead to Tuesday. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we weren't going to see a lot of shifting and changing because Venus is still changing direction, right? She ended her retrograde, but she's very slowly moving forward because as you turn the corner, that takes time for the planets to gain momentum, and Venus is still doing that. And as she does it, she's still hanging out and talking to the North Node. She's still talking to Uranus. So again, women may be surprising us in some way. Now, things are starting to get a little crunchier as we head into Tuesday because we have this very explosive T-square. And some I had said earthquakes, there can be volcano eruptions. because of the fact that the sun in the earth sign Taurus, where it has just entered over last weekend, is in this T-square formation, which always to me looks a little bit like a mountain, right? And the pressure that's created here that has to have an exit point. The explosion happens here at the top with the sun in Taurus. Pluto's in Aquarius. We, the people, are at odds with a very aggressive leader. And this sun energy is, trying, right, to get involved in both conversations to try to end this battle. But the sun is our ego self, right? So egos are involved. Mars is finally out of Cancer and feeling full of self here in Leo. And, Pluto with the power to the people, you don't always see what's going on with the Pluto energy. But because of all this pressure, there may be groups of people, there may be protests, big protests. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the time to actually join in a public protest because it's just not safe. This is explosive energy. Now, Mars and Pluto are going at each other for several days. So you have to be careful. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And you have to not become part of the problem. Don't escalate any negative energy because it will not go well. So today, when Pluto squares the sun, it's extremely intense. The sun will move on. The sun's already been having a difficult conversation with Mars. So we are already seeing and feeling into what this conflict is. It's just reaching a peak now. And then Mars will continue as we look at the chart to have this very difficult conversation with Pluto. And there oftentimes are guns, attacks, war, explosions. So all the things that we just have to be mindful of and be careful of, right? Opposition means we need to create balance, right? So the leader needs to listen to the people. The people need to maybe give a little bit to the leader, right? We've got to meet in the middle and try to find balance, a way to release the tension without attacking one another. But you will feel like you are being attacked and you will feel like you want to attack somebody. This is not good energy. And I believe this is Earth Day. So instead of attacking things, go plant a tree, right? Ground yourself some way to not have this energy feel so overwhelming on your person. Okay. All the other energy still exists that we were talking about. We're still seeing Venus, the North Node, Saturn starting to move on, right? And Uranus is still here, but getting closer to getting to the 26th degree where it's still going to be talking to the nodes and they're going to step back to 25. So all of that intensity is still going on. And I just want you prepared because from this point forward, things are really getting intense. All right. Let's move to Wednesday. So, as I mentioned, still have the sun. Mars is moving a little farther ahead, getting closer to its exact opposition to Pluto. So this is another intense day. Can get even more emotional when you also add the moon moving into the sign of Pisces, which again, amps up everybody's feelings and everybody's emotions. So it's really a repeat of what we saw on Tuesday. Wednesday, it can just, again, build in intensity. So all the things still apply to trying to calm yourself and not overreact. Pay attention to your triggers. They show up for a reason, but don't lash out. Don't over respond to whatever is showing up for you. And in your chart, take a look. Where do you have Mars in Leo? Where do you have the sun in Taurus? Where do you have Pluto in Aquarius? Because those are the places in your life where you're feeling the pressure. Now, the last time, and you can go and read my article where I did a little bit more of a write-up on this, that Mars was in opposition to Pluto was when both of these were in different signs. So we've already seen this opposition, but before it was Mars was weak. Mars was in the sign of Cancer. Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn. Power to the government. Well, now it's power to the people in this opposition energy. And instead of Mars being weak, Mars is very strong in the sign of Leo. So there is a serious battle being waged at this time, and you do not want to be caught in the middle. Okay, let us move on to Thursday. So nothing new, nothing different, except that now Venus is getting caught up with Saturn, right? So she was lagging behind a little bit. Now she's catching up again and she's getting instructions, right? I imagine that the instructions have something to do with how the new beginning is going to start on Sunday with that new moon in Taurus, which Venus will be the ruler of. So when Saturn energy is involved with Venus energy, this is healthy boundaries in relationships, right? Because Venus is love. It can be some safeguards as far as money goes, right? Saturn can be very restrictive. So not a day to do anything related to beauty. I know we say, hey, Venus is moving forward. You can start doing your things. I would wait until Venus is maybe in Taurus before I do anything. Because Venus still has to cover all of the eclipse energy, all of the Aries energy again. So, it's a while before you really understand everything that you've been learning since Venus started this path across this territory last February or this February. So there's a lot of ground to cover still, and I just wouldn't do anything too permanent as a result. But whatever instructions you're given today, you need to follow them to the T. As long as you listen, in which there's this little T here with Saturn even, to what Saturn instructs you to do and you follow through on it, you get rewarded. So that's a good thing. When you try to go out on your own and do it your way, it's not going to turn out well. I don't recommend it. So, and especially because we're still talking about things that are fated. So you can only do so much. Yes, you have free will in how you respond, but there are things happening that are outside of our control and for reasons that we don't only fully understand yet, right? It can be some time before we see the big picture. So whatever's being removed, you need to let it go and trust the process and let other people get all Twitter-pated, but don't let that be you. It won't serve you at all. All right. Let's dial it up a notch as we move to Friday. No. Okay. So on Friday is when the opposition is almost exact, right? So now Mars is at 3 degrees, Pluto's at 3 degrees. The sun has moved on a little bit. So there's a little less third party involvement. This is head to head, whatever this battle is of me, Leo, and we, Pluto. It's two ends of the magnet, and they do this, right? You can't get them to come together. There's just too much pressure. So we have to figure out how to balance our needs and the needs of someone else in our life. That is how this is showing up for you. But this will be the most explosive day. And I say that because we also have today the moon in Aries with Mercury in Aries, and both are going to be sitting at the eclipse point. So whatever was hidden, right, by the eclipse, by the darkness, now we're going to see it. Now we're learning something, and it could be something, really shocking. And it could be something that is now eclipsed out, right? So again, this will be most important to you if you have planets at 9 degrees of Aries, or any planets in your natal chart at this 9 degrees. What do you have sitting at 3 degrees, right? The moon means trust your intuition. And Mercury is, you're getting the information you need about what happened during the eclipse. Because keep in mind, the new moon solar eclipse, right? This is the first time the moon has been back here since the eclipse as well. This is eclipse related. There is something fated going on, and there could be a change in leadership as a result of this. There could be a young leader who takes over for somebody. Maybe this is a woman and a younger person in government that come together. Maybe they come together to expose something about this leader that these people are battling with. There's just obviously very, very many opportunities, but I do expect this to be a pretty big, shocking day. And remember how I said Uranus is going to move to the 26 degrees, matching with the nodes, as the nodes are going to step back from 27. So now they're both in this 26 degrees too. So again, shocking things, fated things, things that are meant to get us unstuck. That's what's going to happen on Friday. There will be fireworks. I can almost guarantee it. Don't become a part of the fireworks yourself. It will not be enjoyable. However, if you've been waiting for the energy, the moment, that momentum, something that will push you on and out of your comfort zone, this is it. Eclipses also help remove blocks, right? They're supposed to get you on your fated path. Well, to do that, something has to be moved. And sometimes that is you that physically has to be moved. So go back, if you haven't watched it, watch my eclipse video, look at where this was showing up for you, and take a look. What have you been doing? What work have you been doing? Where is this showing up in your house? Because there is a chance for something big to now be eclipsed, to get the information you need for this eclipse event to come full circle. So this also will end the post-shadow period of course, Mercury retrograde. And when we were first talking about this eclipse, we had said, wow, and here's Mercury starting its retrograde, right? Going over the eclipse point. And so this has been an information journey, right? There's something that you've been meant to learn. And now when your mind combines with your intuition, there's big aha moments and realizations, something being brought into the light so that you have complete understanding. The truth is about to be exposed. Okay? Yes. So exciting. As we move to Saturday, there we go. Mercury is now past and clear. So all the lessons that you've needed to learn, you've learned them. And maybe it's because of what you've learned that this battle is so important to you, right? So this conflict now, you look at these degrees, 348, 345, that will be exact on Saturday. In the evening, of course, this is like West Coast time in the United States. This is the breakthrough moment, whatever's going on. The tension is at its highest on this day in particular. So this is why I think it's so important that we see whatever this conflict is, reaches a peak. Because like anything, an earthquake or a volcano, when they erupt, right, all the pressure that's been stuck, right, now is released and let go. And that means then we can start recovery, right? How can we exist when we don't feel all this anxiety and all this pressure within us anymore? There's will be somewhat of a sigh of relief, even though it's difficult to see or watch or be a part of. But whatever we do here is what's leading us into this new moon in Taurus on Sunday. So let's break it down. So at the time of the new moon in Taurus, of course, we're going to see the sun and moon come together. And let me move this. And I'm just going to move it so it's close. All right. So these two come together at 7 degrees of Taurus. I like the number 7, right? It's a number in numerology says it's time to go within, right? The answers you seek don't come from outside of yourself. They come from within. Plus, it's lucky number 7, right? So the sun and moon always combine at the time of the new moon. And with the moon blank, it's like a blank canvas, especially with our emotions and our feelings, all right? So we've had this big explosive energy. We're just starting to see Mars barely start to move on. But as a result of whatever this clash is, something new is being born out of it. And I think that's important. Now, you can go look at, I'll have the links to it, my article to get, more information on Taurus. And I even have a hypnosis session if you really want to connect to the energy before you do your intention setting. But we're looking at, the first real opportunity since the eclipses to set new moon wishes that are really about hope for the future and what you want to create. And as I mentioned, Taurus is very much about finances, right? We think about the bull market, right? We have Taurus, the bull on Wall Street. And so this is new opportunities for money, new opportunities for investment in yourself. Venus rules things like beauty and money and self-worth and the valuables. We say our values, but not the values that we have, but the things we put value in, like a new car. The materialistic things is what I say all the Taurus energy is about. Good food, overabundance of food, overdoing things, being very stubborn, being very determined, being very hardworking, and being very good with money. So those are just some of the things that you can look at, and then we'll talk about the house where this is going to show up for you, where you can look at your intention setting even closer. So Venus, ruler of this new moon, has just, as I said earlier, finished her lesson with Saturn. Saturn has given her the instructions on how she is to perform going forward, right? When we think about Venus and relationships, and when I talk about having healthy boundaries a lot and have been ever since Saturn entered here almost 2.5 years ago now, right? We are about to see at the end of May, Saturn walk out of the sign of Pisces for at least a little while before it comes back in during its retrograde. It's going to talk with Neptune a bit. They're both going to go back. I mean, we're just going to start to get a picture of the future, and then we're going to have to finish the work. Repair boundaries, repair relationships. It's going to be very interesting what occurs. And I feel like this is the beginning of that work that we need to do. So Venus, of course, talking to Saturn, and that means still opposing the South Node. So what you want, what you desire, what your dreams are about, because Pisces is dreamy energy, you have a chance now with Saturn's help to go after it. What is it that you dream about? This is the time to go for it. Set those intentions and truly go for it. So we have, as I mentioned, at the time of the new moon, now we have Uranus, the surprises that can maybe clear a path for you suddenly and unexpectedly, that again, fate steps in and makes a change in somebody else's life that then positively changes your own. And that's what helps influence this new beginning for you. You'll also see as the sun and moon are together here, they are loosely still a part of that T-square, this confrontation. So again, this to me feels like the solution to this argument, this pressure, this confrontation. This is the way out of it. Money may be involved, money may be changing hands, right? There is a solution to the conflict, and maybe it's a woman, right? An authority figure with the help of Saturn who helps lead through the conflict in some way. Could just be money itself that helps lead through the conflict. But then there's not anything else directly affecting this new moon. We're going to finally start to see the energy spread out a bit. We've had so much heaviness, right? Water, Pisces, Saturn makes our feelings, our emotions very heavy, right? It's so serious. Well, now that Mercury's moved on, Venus is getting ready to move on, the only energy that's going to be left in there will be Saturn. So this is the last of the big heavy work is coming up between now and the end of May. So we have a month where we will still feel heaviness, but it's because it's serious, because we have to get to work. This is the last degrees of Pisces where we are tested. And you want to pass the test, pay attention to all the clues and hints that are showing up for you. And other than that, nothing else is standing out energetically that's new or different for this week. All right, so one other piece in here, weekly, but will be growing, is Jupiter in Gemini. Moving forward, by June, Jupiter will get out of Gemini, where it has not been happy, much like Mars was not happy in the sign of Cancer. Neither is Jupiter. We haven't had a lot of energy that's been happy where it's at, but this is the beginning of some healing. So you're going to watch this grow closer and closer to Chiron over these next several weeks. So watch to see if a leader doesn't change his mind suddenly, or maybe a leader takes ill and that illness affects his thinking, and recovery heals him and changes his mind about something. Chiron is our wounds. Wounds to an individual is Chiron in Aries, and Jupiter is a benefic leader, right? Jupiter is meant to bless us, and when people abuse their Jupiter power, it doesn't go well. Jupiter is like I said, can bring blessings, but if you are abusing the Jupiter energy, then the lessons can feel a bit severe, as Saturn's lessons are. So we're going to see this opportunity to use the power for good and make some changes. And something about that is showing up at the time of this new moon as well. All right. So let's do the rundown by sign. And if this goes too long, I might break this video out. You will know that if I have 2 separate videos posted. We'll decide in editing if I'm keeping this all together or not. But let us take a look at what the new moon means for each sign. And this is where you can set intentions. Like I said, we're out of eclipse energy. Even Mercury's moved on, so our mind is clear. We know what we want, and we can set intentions and feel good about them at this time. So when we look at the sign of Aries, Taurus, of course, is the second house. So for you specifically, Aries, now's the time to set intentions for new work. This is the house that rules the money you make. If you love your job and you're not needing any extra money there, this is a time for you to work on self-worth issues. That's another area where you can ask to be shown and guided how to heal the self-confidence issues, which you shouldn't have, Aries, but there are some that do, of course. And now's the time to work on those. But more specifically, this is earth energy. So when I work with people and we do new moon intentions and it's earth energy, I recommend working in the earth. Now, you can write your intentions and you can plant them out in the earth. You can be standing barefoot in the earth as you say your intentions out loud. It's kind of up to you, but I do like working with the grounded energy. You can, of course, work with money. In tarot, we call this pentacles, right? So fold up your intentions, put money inside of them, and store them away and see how it grows, right? All right. Next, we have, of course, Taurus. So Taurus, this new moon for you happens in your first house, the house of the self. So it's time to rise, right? It's time to be reborn. It is time to show who you are to the world. So if you've been feeling like you've been hiding out because you've had a lot of work in your 12th house with Chiron in there, which is heavy work. Well, now it's time to move on from that. It's time to realize you can step fully into your power. You are strong, you are resilient, you are financially successful, responsible. Those are all great things to set as your intentions. And again, truly stepping fully into your power. And maybe this conflict, right, has been sucking you in some way, and now you're ready to be free of it and be yourself and stop getting caught up in other people's drama. That's my best advice for you, Taurus. All right, Geminis, you have this new opportunity in your 12th house. Now, 12th house is large institutions. So for some of you, this may be a new job opportunity, an increase in pay or money. It also can be a great time to work with subconscious blocks and old, outdated, false beliefs, right? That just keep you stuck and not allow you to feel beautiful, to feel worthy, to feel deserving. So there is something that you want to do. This is a great time to do mud masks. For instance, we're talking about beauty and earth. Maybe you can have your mud mask on while you do your 10 new moon wishes with this energy and break free from any of those subconscious blocks that are holding you back. And you're definitely somebody who would want to go out and do my Taurus hypnosis session to help you break free from all of that. All right. Then we have Cancers. Cancer, this is a new beginning in your 11th house of friendships. So if you've been feeling like you're an outsider and you don't fit in anywhere, well, this is a good time for you to set intentions to find your tribe, to make new friends. Maybe you've been searching for a mentor and a financial mentor, right? Because we're talking about Taurus, or maybe you're in the beauty industry. Whatever this is, now's the time to set the intentions to easily connect with this person, to be guided where to be, when to be in order to meet this person. And maybe it's just persons, right? To be guided to the events that will introduce you to like-minded people so that your friend group expands. Now, maybe this conflict has been with a group of friends that you just don't align with anymore and you're tired of the BS. So you want to break free of it and find some new friends. All right, Leos, you are feeling a lot of pressure this week. So this new moon probably can come at a better time because you're ready for a blank slate and a fresh start. And this happens for you in your 10th house of career and status and reputation. So it is literally time for you to have breakthroughs, to stop not being yourself, right? To stop letting other people dictate what you do as far as your career goes, right? This is the conflict between your first and your 7th house. 7th house can be your marriage partner. It can be a business partner. And it's time, right, that you don't give all your power away to other people and instead fully step into your power. So this is an opportunity for a new job, a new position in the job that you have, and to do something that affects your reputation in a positive way. All right, Leos, let me know how that goes. All right, Virgos. This opportunity for you for a new beginning is in your ninth house. Now, the ninth house is ruled by Jupiter. It's all about growth and expansion, doing good in the world. It can be about foreign people, foreign places, foreign languages, right? And so there's an opportunity for higher education or spiritual education of some kind. It's definitely a time for learning and growth. And maybe you're learning something that involves money making, investing, for instance. Maybe this is your big opportunity. And then, especially for you early degree Virgos, you're speaking in harmony, right? This is a trine to this new moon. So it's very supportive energy for you that you want to take advantage of. And again, take the guardrails off a bit and allow yourself to go big and to stop thinking you have to be perfect before you let yourself start. You got to start somewhere, and you're not going to be perfect on day one at whatever this big dream is that you have for yourself. Let go of this little voice in your head that's saying you can't, you can't, you can't. Yes, you can. Go for it. All right. Next, we have Libras. Libras, for you, this is showing up in your eighth house. The event can be very life-changing and transformative, right? The eighth house is about death, rebirth, transformation. It's also, it's a very intense event. It can be about resources that we gain from other people. So, of course, we're talking about money. So this, for many of you, may have to do with money that's coming to you in some way. And it's not money that you make directly, but it's money that's invested. It's money that's inherited, right? It's money that you gain from other people. And so that's exciting news. So set your intentions, right? To be guided to investment courses that help you gain your assets in some way, or an investment manager that will help you grow your assets in some way. And then this is also money that could come to you from your spouse. So they may be the ones getting a raise, and of course that would help you in the long run as well. All right. Let me know how that goes, Libra. Next, we have Scorpios. And Scorpios, this is your seventh house. So this is a new opportunity with a marriage partner or a business partner, right? Because we are talking about finances and the seventh house. And that could mean some kind of a business prospect that shows up. A new business that you would start, but always know anything that you'd start now would be filled with this conflict energy. So I wouldn't do that, but I would start researching it and setting your intentions to be guided to the information to start this new business venture. And then again, same things from a relationship perspective. You don't want to start a relationship when you have Mars opposing Pluto. The intensity, there might be a lot of sexual energy, which you don't mind, but it might be too much. But it is a good time to break free from feeling stuck and trapped and not allowing yourself to have a relationship. Those would be the kind of intentions that you could consider setting. Next, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you are given an opportunity for a new beginning that involves your day-to-day life. The work that you do could be a health and fitness routine, could be something to do with your pets. So what do you need to do to invest in yourself and in the activities that you spend your time on a day-to-day basis? Are there some that you need to let go of in order for new opportunities to show up for you? But it also could mean, because of this money factor here, that you get a new opportunity at work that increases your income. And it may be because of some of this conflict here, somebody else leaves and a position opens up and you're perfectly suited for it. All right, next we have Capricorns. Capricorns, this for you happens in your fifth house. Now, the fifth house is the house that rules the heart. It rules the things that we love, that we are passionate about. It's our romantic partners. We can be loving our children, right? It could be hobbies. So since we're talking about money, let's go the hobby route. So this can be a time where you set intentions to start actually taking that hobby of yours and making money with it. Again, you're another earth sign, so your energy is working cohesively with this new moon energy. And again, especially if you're the early born between this 0-10 degrees of Capricorn, or you have planets in Capricorn at those same degrees, then those are getting an extra boost of energy and opportunity. So that's how you want to be working and setting those intentions, taking something that you love, something that you're passionate about, and turning it into a money-making opportunity. Next, we have Aquarius. Aquarius, this is, again, like Leo's, an intense week for you because this Pluto energy that's going through your sign is affecting you in some way, right? There's some transformation going on where you're learning to fully step into your power to feel comfortable with your uniqueness, right? Your quirkiness, your weirdness. And especially if you have any personal planets here as well, those personal planets are under pressure and there's Pluto there trying to rebirth it and revive it. So it's an intense week. Well, the new beginning for you is in your fourth house. So the fourth house, of course, is home, it's family, it can be your mother, it can be your physical space that you live in, and it can be your physical body, right? This is ancestral history, karma, right? This is a great time to break free of any ancestral karma that's kept you stuck or blocked. And it's a really great time to do like a cleanse where you're just literally getting all the stuff and the gunk out so that you can finish this rebirth process. Now, relationships can be really challenging for you when you have this Pluto energy opposing with Leo. So you will break free from any relationship that has you feeling stuck. And it's a good thing. And you can break free of any tendencies in past relationships that have caused them to fail, which they didn't really fail. You just weren't in the right relationship. Now you've learned those lessons, and maybe it's time to start one up. All right. Last and never least, if Pisces, this is for you in your third house. Now, the third house can rule your siblings, other extended family members. It can be a new beginning in the community that you are a part of. It could be a new vehicle because third house can be transportation, or it could be, again, getting educated in some way because the third house is ruled by Mercury, and this is about gaining information and it's about movement. And if those things combined with Taurus suggest a new money-making opportunity based on the knowledge that you gain, then maybe it's time that you signed up again for a financial course of some kind, or maybe it's cooking, right? Is it beauty? What is it that you want to learn? That's what you want to set your intentions for, is to easily learn it and then apply that learning in a way that gives you maybe a side hustle. You can gain some resources from the community that you're a part of. All right. There you have it, everybody. That is all 12 signs, all good opportunities, but just know that the opportunities are all born out of some conflict. And the conflict doesn't have to be directly on you, but whatever's going on around you, this is why I say don't get sucked into it. Let other people make the mistakes, have the hissy fit, cause themselves to be looked upon poorly, and you maintain, be solid, right? Be Taurus. And then you're the one that people look to and say, you know what, through all this chaos, you stood your ground. I want to reward you in some way. So it will be hard work. Taurus is a hard worker, but getting through this conflict, once you do, things will feel a little calmer. We still have a lot of things coming up and a lot of work to do. And as I mentioned, we'll have the outer planets start to do their retrograde dance. Pluto will go in the end of April. here right after, let's see, what's my date? We are going to see Pluto May 4th. Okay, so on May 4th is when Pluto will go retrograde. So we're just a few days after this new moon for us to consider, right? This conflict, this new opportunity, what do we want to do with it? And Pluto work, when it goes within, right, is psychological, right? So all the work doesn't necessarily happen in the space around you. It's going on in your head, in your subconscious mind, and it's very slow. It can be a little subtle, unless this is happening on a personal angle or a personal planet. Then you're going to know you have work to do and you'll understand what it is. But because you have until October 13th, there's a lot of time in between here for that work to happen. And of course, Pluto only moves a couple degrees every sign, every year. So it's slow. That's why it takes 20 years to get all the way through a sign for us to do the actual work. It's hidden. It's beneath the surface. It's in the head. All right. More on that next week as we get into the Pluto retrograde itself. So that will be in the spotlight next week. So we'll just peek at that real quick as we get started on Monday. As I mentioned, this kind of spotlight is going to be this Uranus energy speaking with the nodes. What does that mean? What's that about? What is this tension that's still showing up between Mars and Pluto? And as it progresses, we're going to see Venus move out of the sign of Pisces and enter into Aries. So that, while Venus loves being in Pisces, because of the heaviness of Saturn in there, it's not been her favorite stay. And because it was a review, now, again, topics involving Venus themes in the sign of Aries will start moving forward fairly quickly. And of course, Venus is going to talk to Neptune, her first conversation with Neptune since they met previously in the sign of Pisces. So there's new moon, then new conversations, new dreams that we're willing to go after as a result of Venus meeting up with Neptune next week. And then that's really the highlight. It's going to be a pretty easy week next week. So that will be the highlight. And then we'll see the following week where Pluto will actually go retrograde. So we'll break it down next week, look at it a little bit closer, know that this opposition still exists, but it is fading because Mars is moving farther away from Pluto. But we'll, like I said, break it all down next week. It'll be a quicker video next week because there's not so much activity. It's the time in between, right? As the light starts to gain on the new moon, we start to see those intentions come to fruition. All right, guys, let me know how I can help. Breathe, be patient. We're going to get through this week, but it is definitely going to shock us in some ways, I think. So we'll come back and talk about it and see how it went next week. All right. I look forward to hearing your comments, your stories. Message me, come work with me, and I'll talk with you next week. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.